Hello and welcome to The Loudspeaker, your definitive guide on how to scale your startup.
This first tip for every fintech startup is:
what are the media and press saying about us? How are we being perceived by these people?
PR stunts are any activities that allow you to engage with the audience.
I don't agree with the fact that all publicity is good publicity.
Here is where we talk to communications professionals from all around the world to let you know what are the best practices and cool ideas that you can implement for your startups.
Well, if we're able to get started, can you tell our listeners who you are and a little bit about your experience in SEO and PPC?
Sure. So my name is Pamela Wagner, or as we say in Austria, Pamela. So I'm Austrian. I was born here. I grew up here. But long story short, I actually worked at Google a couple of years ago. And that was my first step into this huge world of ads and data analysis and search engine marketing. And I mean, to be quite frank, when I joined Google, I didn't even really know what that job description was about. I really only understood it when I was actually on the job. And at Google, I did a mixture of 50% troubleshooting and 50% consulting for people with Google Ads accounts, Google Analytics accounts, Google My Business. So within the run of working at Google and until today, I've worked with more than 2,000 advertisers to help them optimize their Google Ads account, Google Analytics accounts, SEO, and so on. So just a huge amount of experience with companies all over the world. So literally not just in one country, but all over the world. So shortly after I left Google, it's been more than 5 years now, I founded my own company, Ajala Digital. And with that, we help 6- and 7-figure businesses grow through Google Ads and Facebook ads. So we do that for companies all over the world, from Hawaii, literally to New Zealand. And I also run the company completely location independently. So there was little difference in us during this time of the pandemic because we just kept working as usual. And, our clients even grew more than we expected. So it's been more than 6 years that I've been working in the area of SEO, PPC, Google Ads, Google Analytics, and so on.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, I'm super glad to have you here because truth be told, this is a mainly a PR focused podcast, and my specialization is in PR and podcasting. So I have to admit that there's certain areas of marketing which I'm a bit of a novice at, and usually my partner or the other members of the marketing department here at Publicize, they focus on SEO and all this sort of jazz. So I am very much a novice to this. So I think if any of our listeners are listening and they're unsure about these terms or phrases or this subject, I am right there with them learning as we go. So I'm happy to have you here, and I'd love to get started if you're able to just explain what PPC is, why it's different from SEM, because that's something that I seem to be confused by initially. And also what the difference is between SEO as well, what they stand for, what they are. Basically, explain to me like I'm 5 years old, this whole situation.
Sure, I'll try my best. So we have those three terms: SEM, SEO, and PPC. Now, the first one, SEM, search engine marketing, basically describes any effort that you do to promote your website in search engines, right? So that could be Google, Bing, Yandex, you name it. It's not just limited to only Google. Then we have search engine optimization, which focuses on promoting your website in search engines, but organically. So organically means you're not paying for your website to show up in Google Ads or in Google, right? And then PPC, pay per click, determines or basically means any advertising system that's out there. So that could be Facebook, that could be Instagram, right? Snapchat, Google Ads, LinkedIn ads, Amazon ads, you name it. Doesn't necessarily have to be search engine marketing related. So SEO is a part of search engine marketing, and PPC can also be seen as a part of search engine marketing, but expands beyond like the search engines, goes into social media platforms and so on.
Okay. And if you were able to explain like the pros and cons of each of them, or use case scenarios as well, so maybe you might have examples of companies that might choose PPC over SEO for different goals and aims, and yeah, generally explain the pros and cons of each, that would be really helpful.
Sure. So SEO is a very long-term strategy, you could say, because if you really see some good results, or until you see some really good results, quite some time can pass by, because there's a lot of efforts that you take care of in the background, not really in the front end of your business, that a lot of people wouldn't know. Pay-per-click is something with which you can notice the result very quickly, because you put up an ad in Facebook or in Google, and then you see the ad and people can start clicking on it right from day one, right? And you start getting data and you get that feedback, what's working, what's not, and you adjust it. So with SEO, it's a very long-term strategy, right? But PPC is also something where you need a little bit more money for it to get started with. So if we talk about the typical startup, I usually would not advise them to actually start off with PPC, because many of them don't yet have a fully proven business model. Their website is usually not optimized yet. And then what happens is that they invest in PPC, but it feels more like throwing money out of the window and just really never seeing it come back. So the pro for PPC is getting that immediate feedback, right? The con of PPC is that right now, all those platforms have become so complex that actually it sounds very simple to create an ad or a campaign, but it's become very difficult to create a campaign or an ad that's really performing. So what used to be something that you could really do on your own, you really need an expert more and more these days, because it just takes you so much time to learn it. In terms of SEO, the pro is that you can really work with a good strategy, right? You know, in terms of building backlinks, you know, if you do PR, right? Interviews, other websites linking back to yours, meta descriptions on your website. So that's not really something you'd need a lot of money for in the beginning to start off with. And you can also plan quite a bit ahead, like what are you going to do with SEO in 5 months, 6 months, 9 months time, right? The con is, again, it takes time. So in the first couple of weeks and months of SEO, you might not see that many results in it. You might not feel that something is really changing, but here you really got to appreciate the process. And if you keep it up, if you do something little every day, it will pay off hugely.
Yeah, that's the one thing which I can relate to when you mentioned this about trying to get those results in publications, because that always seems to be one of the main motivational factors whenever I interview guests and say, like, why did you first get started in PR? And so many people say, oh, because we want those backlinks. So like they get published, they get interviews. And I now do PR just to help promote the podcast that I promote, this one and another one I have. And I think that, yeah, I can now understand the process a lot better. So I definitely have like a better understanding of SEO as a result of that. I see the overlap between good PR and good SEO. And PR is very much the same in the sense that it is a long-term strategy. You're not going to get quick wins. You don't just start right away and then it's all sorted. It takes months and it takes time.
Absolutely. Like what I keep hearing from people like that have seen me and observed me over the past like years, they come to me in the end because they say, I've seen you post continuously. I've seen you show up. And that's what a lot of people these days underestimate. Like how much it is really worth to continue showing up and have that long-term effort going on.
Definitely. It's almost like watering a plant. It takes time. Yeah.
If you're interested in seeing how Publicize can grow your startup, sign up for a free PR assessment on our website. And for a limited time only, exclusively for the loudspeaker listeners, you can receive an SEO assessment as part of your package for any tier of service at no extra charge with this special promotion. To find out more, visit publicize.co/LSpromo.
So what advice would you give to anyone looking to improve their PPC or just get started in PPC, and then again SEO for their business?
Sure. So in terms of PPC, I would first always ask the question if they have really fully invested in getting a proper website. About 70-80% of clients that we get, their website is not fully optimized and there's still a lot of potential, whether that's just the flow of the customer or, you know, the mobile side not working well, or, you know, the website just taking long to load, or the purchasing process isn't optimized. So if that all isn't really optimized, then again, you feel like you'll throw out a lot of money with PPC. Now, what actually happened with one of our clients who like just went from a 6 to 7 figure business this year, a big part due to Google Ads, for example, is that he came to us because he was like, I'm spending all this money in Google Ads every month. I'm just getting invoices from the agency and I have no idea what I'm paying for. So a lot of people lack transparency. So if you have someone manage the account for you, demand that transparency, right? Demand that they explain to you how stuff works, right? So have that courage to really ask questions. And unfortunately, you'll see that a lot of times those people don't know much more than you do, right? Because it's literally such a complex field. Now, in terms of SEO, what I love to start off with is a Google page speed tool. And this is something you can Google. So just go to Google and type in Google page speed insights tool. And the first thing that shows up, just click on that, put in your website. You can do this for any website in the world, right? And it'll give you an immediate snapshot of the performance of your website right now on mobile and desktop. And then take that and give that on to your developer and also give that to your marketer, right? So that would then be the second step for SEO. And then the third step is to really make sure that your tracking is well set up. Like, do you actually know what are you spending on ads? What are you spending on SEO? And what is your return on it? If people cannot give me a clear answer on that within a minute, I know exactly that their tracking is not working. So these are like 3 basics that people have to get right before I would say you really start investing into PPC and SEO.
Okay, so would you say that like tracking is a way of measuring ROI, like your ROI of SEO?
Absolutely. So for example, if you use the Google Analytics tracking code, right? Google Analytics is for free. Then you can, when the tracking code is properly implemented on the website, you can then see how many people are coming to your website from like Google search, from Facebook, from email, and then also maybe how many have filled out a lead form or how many have purchased something. So this can really help you get a better understanding. What's the money I'm putting into each one of those marketing channels and what's the return of investment I'm getting out of it?
Okay. And then my last question to you, PPC and SEO aside, or if it ties into it, what is your number one piece of advice to gain more visibility online?
I could be very biased and I could say, do PPC, right? To spend money on ads, but that's only true for so many businesses. Honestly, even though like I'm a huge ads person, the past years, what I've literally seen work anytime you do it is PR. Like, and I'm not just saying this because this is the podcast, but literally through the years, this is what has remained unchanged. It's the same everywhere in the world.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. One game that I've kind of started with myself is that I try and get secure PR results, and I'm now checking Moz Toolbar because, like I said, I'm a complete novice in this, so I'm slowly learning. But I'm now trying to secure results in with sites that have a higher DA score. So like my game is almost like, what's the highest score I can get? Like, what's the highest DA score I can get to get a secure PR result in? And it's kind of fun. I like the gamification of like trying to like make it a game, and it's made it very enjoyable actually.
Love that. Yeah, it's fun to watch and observe those numbers.
Yeah. So if any of our listeners want to reach out to you or keep up with what you're doing or just know more of your work, how can they follow you or find you online and keep up to date?
Sure. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Pamela Wagner. And then you can also, like, if you want to know how to like manage Google Ads effectively in-house, then I have a free training for you, which you can find on the bit.ly/about-funnel-up. So bit.ly/about-funnel-up. Or then, of course, you can check out our website, ajaladigital.com, and we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, all these social media channels.
Fantastic. Pamela, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.